Hello, Bill Molyneux here for Bill's History World and Bill's Wargame World with a Goober book review. That's right, we're doing a Goober book review, and this book is called The Western Maryland Railroad, Its Civil War Legacy by Scott Mingus and Robert L. Williams. Now you're saying, oh, it's a Civil War book, but it's about the railroad and locomotives and trains. Well, um, what I found, I'm not going to read all this information to you. However, I'll put it up close so if you want to read it. And what I found amazing, Scott L. Mingus, retired scientist in the global pulp and paper industry. He has a lot of patents, by the way. Has written 30 books or more on the American Civil War and Underground Railroad. Robert L. Williams is a retired civil engineer and railroad man who specializes in the history of the Pennsylvania Railroad. And I have to say, this book really surprised me. I read it in 3 nights, and I was amazed. It has so much cool stuff in it, and I picked it up from Scott at one of his lectures. And I'm not a trained person, okay? I'm a miniature war gamer, which you all know, and a board war gamer, but I'm not a trained person. So there's Scott's signature right off the bat. And this was printed in 2022. And of course, you can get it on Amazon and Kindle too. Okay. So the chapters are Troubled Beginning, 52 to 60. The War Comes to Maryland. All right. And then the Gettysburg Campaign. Another Invasion, 64 to 65. Green Spring Bypass. And then we're moving out of the Civil War, of course. And then the Western Maryland Civil War Engine Roster 120 and the appendix. So, what is so special about this? If you are a Civil War buff, you have to get this book. So, we're going to go to the first section that I have marked off. And this goes into some Civil War trail signs, which you know that I helped support with Goober the Traveling Bear. Union Bridge recalls the movement of General Reynolds' body. Now, General Reynolds of the First Corps, he is shot behind, I think it's the left ear or right ear. And this book goes in detail and how his body is transported and from the Gettysburg battlefield back to Lancaster, where he is put to rest, laid to rest. All right. There is a lot of neat stuff in this on the Gettysburg campaign. Um, quite amazing. So you're not reading as much about trains and engines as much as military actions and how the railroads interacted with that in the Maryland Gettysburg region. And I have another section I was very impressed with. I'm a big fan of Major Gilmore. I live just a few miles from Jerusalem Mills, one of the places he raided. And I've made several videos of Major Gilmore. He is a Marylander. And in 64 or 60, going into the late 64, July, he has a raid and he zips all around Baltimore, burning railroad bridges and causing all kinds of stuff. And then right up the road from me, they attack a little village and they take all his shopkeeper's stuff. So Major Gilmore he did quite well in his raid. And this book goes into it in detail, along with the bridge he burns. Major Gilmore captured a general, and then he escaped. Anyhow, now there are some very nice pictures of the railroad, the engines, the locomotives. So I have to say, it's a fast read. and it's well worth it. And there's all these cool maps and advertisements, and then of course a lot of neat historic pictures. So if you're a railroad buff, you got to buy this book. If you're a Civil War buff, you got to buy this book. And I got to really say, Scott has some stuff in here that I had never seen before, and including the train that brought the Civil War veterans back to Gettysburg. Okay, and that was quite the task. And I'm not trying to be a super historian on that, but I think it was in 1936 maybe that was the last anniversary and of bringing the veterans back to Gettysburg. All right. I don't remember what I paid for this, but I think it's under $10 and well worth it. I'm going to conclude this with my standard must buy. We'll have to ask Goober, the traveling bear, and he gives it a paws up, another paws up, and two bottom paws up. And by the way, one of the things I really liked about it, it read really smooth, fast, and in 3 nights I was done with it. I did have to, and I was cursing Scott a little bit because the one evening I stayed up past 10 o'clock to finish it. And I'm usually try to be sleeping by 9ish. So that's how good this book is. Total pages 138 with an index. Okay, a must-have book, Kindle, paperback, and that's about it. Stay safe, be kind, be courteous, and don't forget to get your Western Maryland Railroad. It's Civil War Legacy book from Scott Mingus and Robert L. Williams.